Okay, you guys, what is up? This is Oja Senpai here today to review Magi, the King, no, Magi, the Labyrinth of Magic, chapter 225. Now, this chapter of Magi actually showed something really big, something that we already kind of knew, but it just wasn't something that we had to be like, like we were surprised about. But basically, this chapter was actually good in my personal opinion. Now, I'm gonna do the basics at the end of the review because I gotta focus on the story. The story is actually a lot more important. So yeah, the basics will come at the end of the review. And I'm sorry for because I was on kind of a hiatus, kind of because I have exams coming up, so I have to study for them after I make these videos. So yeah, let's get on with the review. So Solomon and Sheba are now totally in love. It's not one sided on Sheba's part. It's basically both sided. Like Sheba loves Solomon, Solomon loves Sheba, and they break the big news apparently that Sheba is pregnant. Now, the ending of the chapter obviously gives you the hint that's most likely Aladdin. It's most likely Aladdin. It's pretty much obvious at this point, and there's something interesting about that because apparently they did the whole sex thing naturally, but Sheba's using her magic to make sure that Solomon's okay. Make sure that not Solomon, make sure that Aladdin, the unborn baby, is okay. Make sure like he's like gets his nutrients, make sure he stays alive. And a bunch of Solomon's friends are wondering, well, obviously, shouldn't Sheba be in battle because Sheba, according to Arba, is the third strongest magician. So she like I said before, I think in my last review, she's up there when it comes to power. And Solomon's like, nah, absolutely not. You're the mother of our baby. You gotta stay like protected and stuff like that. And she was like, no, I can fight. No, I want to help you. And I mean, it's nice. But one of the things I noticed about this is that if this obviously is approaching to the final battle between Elder David and Solomon, will it be a problem for Sheba if she has to go out to battle and somehow the unborn baby, aka Aladdin, gets harmed somehow? Would that happen? And that's been crossing my mind for a little bit now, because obviously, with this revelation, there's some things to come, obviously. But I think personally, I think it's nice. It's finally something that I think is does good with romance because now we actually are speeding up a little bit more. We see the connection between Solomon and Sheba now. It's actually more of a love relationship, and I think that's really cool. And again, like I'm not a big fan of the romance, but now it actually makes sense. They actually have a baby together, so it makes sense for them to actually still be as not spouse because I don't think they're married yet, but obviously as mother and father of their child, as lovers. So that's cool. Now, what Ugo found out, not bad. Now listen, we Ugo and Solomon talked, and Solomon and Ugo discussed about this thing that they found, where apparently, people originally thought in almost wrong, once you die, you go complete nothingness. You don't have a consciousness anymore. You don't exist anymore after that. But apparently, Ugo found that humans and pretty much everyone else on the Earth, their world, has a soul. And this soul, apparently, once it dies, it splits into these particles. And these particles we now know as Rukh. Now, of course, we've seen Rukh plenty of times before, but now we actually see, what Ugo found. Now, interestingly enough, the Rukh that we see in this chapter is black. It's not white. And I'm thinking about it because I saw Forever World's review, and Forever World was saying, who, like, since it's black, someone must have fallen into depravity, which makes sense. However, who would that be? And I'm thinking personally, it may not necessarily be someone that fell into depravity. It may be that the Rook at this time, it's just been discovered, it hasn't been manipulated yet. And it's all because of the fact that Ilah is using up all the Magoi that it has to supply it to the rest of the world. So that may be the reason as to why it's black now, why it's not white. Normal Rook is white, flowing, the great white flow, stuff like that. So it's not, that might be the reason because, Ilah is, fucked up right now. That may be the reason why it's black, or maybe it is. Maybe it is contained from someone who is falling from depravity. Maybe even Solomon. Now, let me get into Solomon, because Solomon is actually interesting in this chapter. He, at this point, we see Ugo talking about Solomon, and Ugo, all right. So we see Ugo and Solomon talking, and Solomon, apparently at this point, is at the brink when it comes to him being referred to as a god, as the quote unquote Messiah, the quote unquote Jesus, you know what I mean? And he doesn't like that at all. We already know this. But now it's coming to the point where he cannot escape from it, because apparently more and more revolutions, or quote unquote battles, are being fought within the resistance, because a lot more of the human magicians that are on Solomon's side are causing these revolts, against Solomon. And more people, the other people that still follow him, want Solomon to be like king, to be like Elder David, be a tyrant, be an actual god, quote unquote. And it's tearing Solomon apart, to the point where Solomon, it's not easy for him to talk about. To the point where there's a guy there that actually, like, I think it's a human magician. He actually says, become, our king Solomon, and he just falls to the ground. Typically what people do in front of kings, they bow and then they put their hands down on the ground and stuff. And then we see Solomon. Solomon's like, do not refer to me as a king or your god, and get the fuck up. So he's saying, it's like, I'm not your king, I'm your leader, but I am also your equal. You do not refer to me as your king or your master, or your god. I am just here to help you, because I want to create this equality. But it's really messing up with someone now, to even the point where Ugo, despite the fact that he noticed this way before, he's not, whatever, to the point where Ugo is like, yo, this is a problem for Solomon, because Solomon doesn't look like he's happy at all. Now, it's possible, if the Rukh is from someone who's fallen from depravity, it might, and I say might, be Solomon, because again, we don't know where he got the Rukh from, but he found it from someone, I'm sure, and it's black. Now, of course, it could be Elah, because Elah is technically losing all of its goodness, and the white Rukh that it has is turning black. It could be that, or it could be that someone has fallen to depravity, and that's how Ugo got his hands on it. But Solomon, I think, in my personal opinion, is really sad at this point. And I like how, Sheba is still doing what Arba said. Sheba's like, yo, I gotta help Solomon. We have a baby now. We're probably gonna get married. I gotta help him. I have to be his pillar, just like Arba said. And at this point, you really have to wonder who is going to become Gyoquin, Arba and Sheba. Now that it's obvious that Aladdin is the son of Sheba and Solomon, it's possible that Solomon, if something happens to him, that might be the reason as to why Sheba becomes Gyoquin, because that's when she probably falls into depravity. However, at the same time, Arba, I mean, she looks a lot like Gyoquin. She really does. And if you think about it, if Gyoquin really is Sheba, why isn't like Gyoquin in the real time now? Why isn't Gyoquin like even mentioning Aladdin at all? Like she mentions him, but like as like like he's like as her son. It's really weird, and I don't know how to like put it into words. Like it's either Arba or Sheba. We'll see what happens next week's chapter, because next week's chapter it might actually wrap up the arc, or it might be getting closer to wrap up the arc. Now, so yeah, and the whole thing with the Rukh, I like how like sorry, Ugo is actually explaining how the Rukh works, why the Rukh works in the first place, and I think that's really cool in my personal opinion. It's actually really cool, and yeah, so pretty much this chapter overall, let's get through the basics first, then I'll get into the actual chapter rating. Pacing was good. It's good. The story progression is great. It's phenomenal. It's really good story progression, because we're getting towards the final fight soon. And artwork, mm, okay plus. It's not. It's good. It's solid artwork, but it's nothing like extravagant. Nothing fantastic. So yeah. Tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think that it's Solomon's Rukh? Is it actually what Solomon is actually that Solomon's Rukh and that's what happened when he turned fell to depravity? Is that what happened, or is it just something like Elah? Like Ugo found it, and Elah, because of Elah, that because of the fact that Elah is now losing a lot more magma and becoming a lot more power, is that the reason as to why the Rook is black, at least for now? And what do you guys think of Solomon and Sheba overall? You think it's cute? Do you think it's nice? Yeah, tell me your thoughts. Now the chapter rating overall, I'm gonna give it a rating of good. So yeah, good chapter. So like the video if you like it, dislike it if you don't. Rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. I'm Moji Senpai, and I'm out. Peace, guys.